Autumn.
Autumn. The season of the year between summer and winter, when leaves change color and the weather becomes colder. For example, in the autumn of something.
Bacteria.
Bacteria. The simplest and smallest forms of life. Bacteria exist in large numbers in air, water and soil, and also in living and dead creatures and plants, and are often a cause of disease. For example, neither chilling nor freezing kills all bacteria.
Bay. A part of the sea, or of a large lake, partly surrounded by a wide curve of the land. For example, the Bay of Bengal.
Beach.
Beach. An area of sand or small stones, called shingle, next to the sea or a lake. For example, on the beach.
Beast. An animal, especially one that is large or dangerous, or one that is unusual. For example, wild/savage/ferocious beasts.
Biology.
Biology. The scientific study of the life and structure of plants and animals. For example, a degree in biology.
Branch. A part of a tree that grows out from the main stem, and on which leaves, flowers and fruit grow. For example, she climbed the tree and hid in the branches.
Capture.
Capture. To catch a person or an animal and keep them as a prisoner or shut them in a space that they cannot escape from. For example, Allied troops captured over 300 enemy soldiers.
Cat. A small animal with soft fur that people often keep as a pet. Cats catch and kill birds and mice. For example, a tin of cat food.
Cell. The smallest unit of living matter that can exist on its own. All plants and animals are made up of cells. For example, red and white blood cells.
Character. A person or an animal in a book, play or film. For example, the main character in the film.
Cliff. A high area of rock with a very steep side, often at the edge of the sea or ocean. For example, the cliff edge top.
Climate. The regular pattern of weather conditions of a particular place. For example, a tropical warm, mild, temperate, cold climate.
Climb.
Climb. An act of climbing up a mountain, rock or large number of steps, a period of time spent climbing. For example, an exhausting climb.
Coast. The land next to or near to the sea or ocean. For example, a trip to the coast.
Command.
Command. An order given to a person or an animal. For example, begin when I give the command. Compassion. A strong feeling of sympathy for people or animals who are suffering and a desire to help them. For example, to feel/show compassion.
Conservation. The protection of the natural environment. For example, to be interested in wildlife conservation.
Cultivate. To prepare and use land for growing plants or crops. For example, the land around here has never been cultivated.
Current. Happening now, of the present time. For example, the necklace would be worth over $5,000 at current prices. Dam. A barrier that is built across a river in order to stop the water from flowing, used especially to make a reservoir, equals a lake for storing water, or to produce electricity. For example, the Narmada Dam in India.
dense, containing a lot of people, things, plants, etc. with little space between them. For example, a dense crowd/forest.
Desert.
Desert. A large area of land that has very little water and very few plants growing on it. Many deserts are covered by sand. For example, the Sahara Desert.
Ecological.
Ecological. Connected with the relation of plants and living creatures to each other and to their environment. For example, we risk upsetting the ecological balance of the area.
Environment. Environment. The natural world in which people, animals, and plants live. For example, the government should do more to protect the environment. Environmental.
Environmental. Connected with the natural conditions in which people, animals and plants live, connected with the environment. For example, the environmental impact of pollution.
Evolution.
Evolution. The slow, steady development of plants, animals, etc. during the history of the Earth, as they adapt to changes in their environment. For example, the evolution of the human species.
Female.
Female. An animal that can lay eggs or give birth to babies, a plant that can produce fruit. For example, one adult female can lay 400 to 500 eggs.
Fence. A structure made of wood or wire supported with posts that is put between two areas of land as a boundary, or around a garden, field, etc. to keep animals in, or to keep people and animals out. For example, the two women chatted over the garden fence.
Field. An area of land in the country used for growing crops or keeping animals in, usually surrounded by a fence, etc. For example, we had to walk across a plowed field.
Flower. The colored part of a plant from which the seed or fruit develops. Flowers usually grow at the end of a stem and last only a short time. For example, the plant has a beautiful bright red flower.
Forest.
Forest. A large area of land that is thickly covered with trees. For example, a tropical pine forest.
Fossil. The parts of a dead animal or a plant that have become hard and turned into rock. For example, fossils over 2 million years old.
Green. Having the color of grass or the leaves of most plants and trees. For example, green grass/leaves/vegetables. Green. Having the color of grass or the leaves of most plants and trees. For example, green grass/leaves/vegetables.
Growth.
Growth. The process in people, animals, or plants of growing physically, mentally, or emotionally. For example, lack of water will stunt the plant's growth.
Habitat.
Habitat. The place where a particular type of animal or plant is normally found. For example, the panda's natural habitat is the bamboo forest.
He. A male person or animal that has already been mentioned or is easily identified. For example, everyone liked my father, he was the perfect gentleman.
Hill. An area of land that is higher than the land around it, but not as high as a mountain. For example, a region of gently rolling hills. Him. Used as the object of a verb, after the verb be or after a preposition to refer to a male person or animal that has already been mentioned or is easily identified. For example, when did you see him?
Homeless. Having no home, and therefore typically living on the streets. For example, the scheme has been set up to help homeless people.
Horizon. The furthest that you can see, where the sky seems to meet the land or the sea. For example, the sun sank below the horizon.
House.
House. A building for people to live in, usually for one family. For example, in a house.
Human.
Human. Of or connected with people rather than animals, machines, or gods. For example, the human body/brain.
Human.
Human. Of or connected with people rather than animals, machines, or gods. For example, the human body/brain. Infect. To make a disease or an illness spread to a person, an animal, or a plant. For example, infect somebody, something, with something.
Inhabitant.
Inhabitant. A person or an animal that lives in a particular place. For example, the oldest inhabitant of the village.
It. Used to refer to an animal or a thing that has already been mentioned or that is being talked about now. For example, where's your car? It's in the garage.
Its. Belonging to or connected with a thing, an animal or a baby. For example, turn the box on its side.
Itself. Used when the animal or thing that does an action is also affected by it. For example, the cat was washing itself.
Lead. To go with or in front of a person, or an animal to show the way, or to make them go in the right direction. For example, if you lead. Leaf. A flat green part of a plant, growing from a stem or branch or from the root. For example, lettuce, a cabbage, oak leaves.
Life. The ability to breathe, grow, produce young, etc. that people, animals, and plants have before they die and that objects do not have. For example, this could mean the difference between life and death.
Log. To put information in an official record or write a record of events. For example, the police log all phone calls.
Male. A male person, animal or plant. For example, the male of the species has a white tail.
Marine. Connected with the sea and the creatures and plants that live there. For example, marine life.
Member. A person, an animal, or a plant that belongs to a particular group. For example, member of something.
Miracle. An act or event that does not follow the laws of nature and is believed to be caused by God. For example, the miracle of rising from the grave.
Monkey.
Monkey. An animal with a long tail that climbs trees and lives in hot countries. There are several types of monkey, and they are related to apes and humans. For example, like humans.
Name. A word or words that a particular person, animal, place, or thing is known by. For example, what's your name?